quiet in here? Okay. I didn't want to say it too loud. Make people nervous.
Okay. Okay, I call to order the Roseville Town Board regular meeting, February 2nd, 2020. If everybody would, let's rise for Pledge of Allegiance, and Sheila, you mind doing the invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father God, we just thank you.
Review the items of the agenda. Is there any changes, any additions you guys would love to make to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, got a motion? Second?
Second.
Jackie, second, I think. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Board. Board liaison reports. Mayor Pro Tem Medley first. Planning the group.
Excuse me. That was actually the day I had my MRI, so I'm not sure. Kelly, were you there for that? Or maybe Danny can hit upon it when he speaks.
Okay.
So I did catch some of it, but I think they would do a better job because I was not there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get a report. Thank you, Michelle. Commissioner Sutton, Economic Development, anything to report?
Actually, just a couple of things. One, on January 14th, the Main Street Development Group, we don't have an official name yet, previously REDAC, met on January 14th, which was a good meeting. We did a kickoff, kind of laying out the goals and the mission of the group. I think Ronnie was in attendance, and thank you for being there. So that was going well. And you all have in your packets an MOU about the North Carolina Department of Commerce's Rural Planning Division that's going to work with the group starting in February this month through June. I think they're a great group to work with us. They do this for cities and towns throughout the state in helping them with their Main Street development. So they're going to help us with some training and give us some ideas on some things that we can do to encourage development in Roseville. So I'm really excited. And the good news is it's free. It's free. It's free. So I'm excited about that. We'll be working with Bruce Naglin, and you guys have all the details. You've probably seen them. But those are really the only two updates I have, and I'm looking forward to more development to come in Roseville.
Great. Well, thank you. Yeah, the Main Street Development team, I was really impressed. You got some good stuff going on there. And I think it was talking about even a new name maybe. So very good work. Since you do also serve with this appearance committee, I will say I've had a couple contacts with people with trash since we met last. And there's a lady that lives, I'm not going to mention her name specifically, but she lives in Carlton Point, that she actually goes out and picks up trash and puts it in bags for the folks to pick up. And she's had a couple communications with Kelly, and we've been talking back and forth to her. So, and she does it along Jonesville Road there. Does, really good. And also the Boy Scouts, Troop 141, I think is the number. Mm-hmm. They did some work around Rogers Road down there to Granite Falls, which makes it look much better. So I appreciate the public doing that. I wish we didn't have to depend on the public doing that. And I think Kelly, I would like for maybe we put that topic on maybe a future workshop that we kind of talk about some ideas that we make and come up with to kind of help with that. And, I think some ideas have been thrown out, let's beef up the penalty, the violation penalty or something like that. But let's make a point to talk about that sometime in the future, if you would. So,
Mr. Mayor, are we still able to do Adopt a Highway?
They do. And the problem with Adopt a Highway is, and that's still an active program.
Okay.
But, you have to pick it up quite a lot often than what they do. They may do it once a year or something, and if you don't do it often than that, then it doesn't do a good job. So there is some requirement. I'm not sure requirements around adopt a highway, Jackie, but really only the piece there at Carlton Point is in Rolesville. The rest of it is in, the county, but, it's considered town. Whether it's in town or not, it's considered town, so.
I do notice where it's not lit is where you see most
Yep.
of the trash. As you get past Carlton Point and closer to the ABC store, it kind of disappears. So
Right.
people kind of feel guilty throwing it out in the light. So.
Yeah, that's probably right. Okay, well, thanks. Appreciate your report there. Commissioner Vilga, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Yeah, we met on 127, and some of the discussions were the LDO update, just going over it and seeing if everybody agreed with anything, if anybody had any questions about it. They also discussed commercial use of park property. They talked about an update for the farm regarding the access and talking to landowners around there to see if we can get another access to that property. The OSAG plan and a bike and pedestrian plan are both in the works to get completed. And they also voted to petition the town board to consider a bond for future park development, with more information to come at a later time. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that, Paul. Next is Commissioner Wilson, Public Safety.
Public Safety quarterly meeting was supposed to occur last month, and they had to change it. And so it's going to be this coming Thursday. So I can give you a report next time on that. The fire department merger study group, I guess I'll call it. We met virtually last week, of which April, myself, Kelly, as well as representatives from the, and Ronnie was there too, as well as Chief Privet, Assistant Chief Lawrence, Chair Spence Jones, Joel Keefe, and a few others.
I think Jerry Edens was there.
And Jerry Edens was there too, yes. And as a result of that meeting, we're going to plan another one soon. Kelly's working on the logistics of that, and we're going to have Greg Grayson a part of that meeting. He was the one that did the study because there were questions asked and that needs to be asked of him in regard to his findings. So I think Kelly is planning on us getting together sometime mid-month this, so we can give you a report hopefully in March, if not sooner. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate that. Okay, now we invite the public to be heard. Robin, was there any comments submitted to the website?
The one that was forwarded to you via email today.
You have that one to read, or if you do, we'll let Charles speak, and then we'll. All right. So we got one in person here. Charles, step up to the mic. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Just
New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
good to see you.
Same here. Hope everybody is doing, and the families are doing well in these unprecedented times.
Yeah. Just for the record, state your name and address, Charles.
Charles Fulanoy, 100 Watkins Farm Road.
Thank you.
And I'm going to apologize in advance to the town manager for having to hear this again. We spoke earlier.
Let me turn your microphone on there.
How's that?
That's good.
All right. In the face like a sledgehammer. I had never, ever smelled gas that strong before in my life, you know. And they're doing that construction right by my house, and I knew immediately what must have happened. You know, so, I said, wow. So and they stopped traffic, et cetera. So I did, and again, it was easy to put two and two together. So I went out and I talked to one of the firefighters and said, yeah, they hit a main there, so, it's stopping traffic. So, and they stopped it both ways. And I said, well, my wife was out. I said, well, she's not going to be able to get home. So I call her and let her know that, you won't be able to get down the streets because they've blocked West Young off both ways. And I didn't get through. So about less than a minute later, I heard her calling me. I looked behind. She was walking past our backyard coming. And she told me that she got to that point and the police would not let her come through any farther. So, but she said, I live right here. She was only about 50 yards from the house. She said, there's my house right there. I can't. She said, ma'am, I'm sorry, I can't let you go. So she went to one of the firefighters and he relented and he said, well, I have to have one of my guys escort you. So he escorted her to the house, and so we were both outside and the firefighter, one of the firefighters went inside and he took a reading. And he said, I'm going to advise you both to evacuate the house. Now, they turned off the gas in my house, and I saw them when they were doing that. And what's really strange is, it's a small development. I don't know how many have actually been in Watkins Farm, and I'm the only house in that development that has gas, natural gas. Everybody else has propane or electric. So again, they turned off the gas in my house, and we had to evacuate our properties. And a good thing was a relatively nice day, so we didn't mind standing outside and watching them. So so we were out there, and I don't know, about an hour or so, and then one of the firefighters went back in and he took another reading and he said, okay, it looks like it's, you guys can go back in. Said, but let me check the garage first. So he went in the garage and took a reading in there, and he said, yeah, that's all right. So they were out there working, et cetera. And then I talked to one of the firefighters, and I said, now this, and I'm thinking about you, Commissioner Medley, because you raised the question when the senior citizen development over, I don't know if I'm pointing the right way or not, over there in Granite Falls, there was only one entrance and exit to get in there, and you raised a question. You said that, that could be dangerous. They need to have another exit in and out of there. But there's only one entrance and exit in Watkins Farm. And I talked to a firefighter about it. He said, yeah, we know, and that could be a problem if there's a fire. We've encountered others, but we try and work around it. So I said, well, something I want to mention to the town just to make them aware. So I did. I don't know if I called you, Mr. Mayor, or text you. I don't remember which one it was, but to let you know what had happened on that situation. Now, talking to one of I guess this guy with Dominion Energy was a foreman or something, because the way people were coming to him and asking questions, et cetera. But he said to me, he said, well, he was just talking, he said, well, that wouldn't have happened if, he uses a specific terminology that, you've seen it all, the markings in the streets, yellowed already. He said, they didn't come to us and ask us about where to mark it. They didn't let us know they were going to dig in that area. So evidently they just dug, and I guess they assumed, well, we're on the straight line, let's stay on the straight, I don't know, but that's what happened. He said that never would have happened if they would have contacted us. But that's beside the point. Now they were, like I said, this happened, I don't know, maybe 2:15, 2:20. They didn't leave there until like 8 o'clock that night. They were there for a long time digging. They had to bring in, I heard the guy say, we had to bring in a backhoe to get in there to dig up a little farther, but a little deeper. But talking to Kelly, we were talking about an additional road in there, and I was thinking, as naive as I am, that there's a big swath of property right behind my house that the Watkins own. I said, man, that's big enough for 3 roads to get in there. But, Kelly made a good point. Well, that's not going to happen. That's a big. And he mentioned Old Town, I think he said, and I said, oh, I didn't think of that at all. But that is a wooded area. But I guess that would be the more feasible thing to do. And again, I know this is not going to happen overnight. And he made the point about it. Well, if somebody's going to build some construction there, then we can sort of tie that in and say, well, build another road for egress, for that. And again, that makes sense. But again, just to make you guys aware of it, that could be an issue.
I do have a question. What company was digging back there? Was it Ting?
I'm sorry, which?
Was it Ting that was digging back there?
Oh,
Who was it?
I have no idea. I seen the trucks, but I didn't look at the name.
Commissioner Medley, it was related to the Chandler's Ridge
Okay.
construction, and they were installing a sewer line.
Okay. And I asked that because a couple of weeks ago, and it happened several times, we keep losing power over here. So I'm just curious to know, because it was interesting to hear that nobody asked permission, where the lines were.
Well,
Is that what's going on
No,
over
they
here?
have to, it's mandated, they call 311 or 811 to do your dig.
Okay.
They're supposed to find those. So it's either they didn't locate it appropriately or something, but if that's the answer. But they before anybody digs, you're supposed to call and get everything
Correct.
marked.
So, I mean, I know it's coming from a second party, but I'm just saying we should really look into that, because as many times as we have all lost power over here, I mean, last time I think we lost power for like 4 hours, and it was sunny outside, so it wasn't weather related.
It's a state regulated, but it's a law. You're supposed to call, and then everybody's supposed to have a period of time to go out and do their markings. And it really isn't coming upon the gas company when they get the call, the utility company to go do the appropriate marking. So if that company didn't do that call, then that could be a concern to the state. But anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't know, but
Yeah.
a little sidebar on that side of the street where that CenturyLinks has some sort of terminal box or something there. That sidewalk is completely destroyed. So, and that was Pike. I looked at the name of the truck that was there, because there was like 3 or 4 trucks there.
They'll have to
And I said, man, there's no patching this thing up. This thing has to be dug up and completely replaced. Aside from the what they did to the lawn over at the Granite Falls, but that's not you're not something. Oh, but anyway, the other issue I had with the gas, and this is not anything you guys involved with, but when they turned off my gas and they were I went back out there to find out if they were finished, and this was about 8:30. He said, "Yeah, we're finished. We're packing up." I said, "But somebody's supposed to come back and turn my gas back on." I was getting chilly tonight. I don't have any heat. So he said, "Oh, okay." I said, so he said, well, I'll call it in, call in a ticket. I think he called it a ticket, a work request or whatever. And I said, okay, all right. Well, how long is it going to take? And he said, well, we don't know. I said, well, is the guy coming from Charlotte? Where's he coming from? They don't know. So I said, oh, okay, all right. But about 45 minutes, somebody did come that night and turn the gas back on. Yeah. So I was.
Did they relight your pilot lights too?
Yes, okay. Yes. Only one they had to do was the upstairs, the hot water heater upstairs, and I had a gas fireplace. And the hot water.
You're safe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So am I. It was like I said, it was a shock to me. It was nauseating. That's how strong. And they do that on purpose, naturally, because gas is an odorless chemical. So but it was really something. But the amount of construction that they're doing in the back of Watkins, and over there, I'm sure there's no gas or anything, lanes, pipes, anything over it, because it was an empty lot. But I don't know if there's more digging along the road they have to do. I don't know. I don't know if that area is going to be natural gas or is it going to be I have no idea. But anyway, I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. So if nothing else, you say, well, yeah, we did have a resident mention that to us.
Well, thank you, Charles. Appreciate you coming in.
My pleasure.
And
my pleasure.
I think, thank you, Charles. And I think, Kelly, we probably could do a little follow-up on this, I guess you call one way in, one way out neighborhoods. It'd be good if the board knew just how many that we have and where they're at for awareness, if nothing else. So maybe we can add that to a future workshop. And And just for the board's sake, you know, I brought this up to the mayor's meeting we had a few weeks ago. And, you know, and the comment is, you know, we just need to be aggressive in making sure that we make these connections and have more than one way in and one way out. And you know, people don't want them. And I did find out Wake County encourages it too. Wake County love to have connectable neighborhoods too, so they encourage it. And you know, we passed one a few weeks ago, a month or so ago. It was a Wake County neighborhood that we chose not to connect to them because the folks didn't want to. But from a safety standpoint, we should have. And you know, that's what we talked about in the mayor's. Is we get so much pushback from the public that don't want it. But, you know, from a safety perspective, we should stand firm and make sure these connections are taking place, you know.
Yeah, Wall Creek, where I live, has one way in, one way out. It's been that way for 25 years. And we've been fortunate. But eventually with the growth going south there, we will connect down there later. But I agree with you 100%.
And it's hard. I mean, you know, folks don't want it, but from a safety standpoint, it should be. And one of the comments, you know, like I said, I was in on the North Wake study. I guess it's a planning study they're doing for North Wake, Northeastern Wake, I guess it's called. And they, you know, and one is different things. Some of it has to do with roads, some of it has to do with transit, some has to do with greenways and walkable and biking and all kind of stuff. But one of the comments they made in the discussion there was that said that Roseville did a really good job of connecting the neighborhoods with collector streets and stuff like that. And we've been doing that for the last 20 years and trying to design that where, you know, things connect inside the neighborhood, and you know, and we just need, as a board, you know, need to continue to do that and put these connections in if we can. I think.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. What is the reasoning the neighborhood doesn't want it? Because of they want to maintain exclusivity or something?
Yeah, I think the folks that live where the connection has been a dead end for them, and they don't want, you know. They don't want cars coming through there.
So it's usually then it's just a small minority.
Yeah. Yeah. But as a whole, sometimes, you know, the neighborhood itself sees that people cut through. Yeah. Like if we put the back connection in Watkins Farm, some of y'all may think, well, those folks that live back there is going to come out by my house, you know, all the time. So, you know, it's kind of hard. So it's a give and take in whatever you do, you know. So
lesser of two evils. I mean, I'd rather have the emergency vehicles have easy access and egress, than, you know, as opposed to. But anyway.
Yeah. I have a concern though that I don't feel like we completely addressed in Mr. Charles's statement, and I think we should give some follow up to it. The developer that was digging, we need to make sure that they're doing their due diligence. And my concern is, was the call made? And if it wasn't, we need to proactively make sure that we are reminding them this could be a matter of life and death, because we're responsible for, you know, folks doing work in this town and making sure they're doing it safely. Because just listening to that's serious. This could have been tragic.
If the call was made, would they have contacted him? Should they have contacted him? Is that the procedure where they contact the homeowners?
I don't think so.
No, the call that Charles is referring to is by probably the contractor, right? Who has a contract with the developer to install the sewer pipe. They're to call X hours or days ahead to have the locates for utilities. So.
I got it.
And you'll see the markings, because I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right.
And they had a lot of locates up there, because I seen a lot of the orange and green and stuff.
If it didn't occur. Now, whether it occurred in the right locations is a question. That's what sometimes happens. It's sometimes either the mapping or the identifications are misplaced, and then they dig and it's off by X feet or something.
Yeah.
And that's due to a wide variety of reasons. So, but my experience is typically they do act, they make a call, and when they make a call, then all the call goes out from that call center to all the utilities.
Right.
There should be a
And they mark.
marking done. And it's responsible utilities to go out and mark it.
Yep.
So, I have a hard time imagining that the call wasn't made if all the other utilities were found or located, but I don't know that for certain. But it is the utility's responsibility, once that call is made, for them to go out and mark.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true here. There's a locate company. You call, it's 411. I think you said,
Yeah.
So it's 411, and most time they locate so they'll come out and locate water, sewer,
That's right.
power, phone. They usually locate for everything.
So I guess maybe it's the company's responsibility to do that, is got the contract for that to do.
That's right.
That's
That's right. They call locates, but
sometimes what happens, like they did in front of Greenway, they just cut it too close, and the next thing you know, everything is shut down.
yeah, that's right.
So it is important to find out.
Okay. Well, thanks. Appreciate it. Robin, did you find the one?
you.
Do you mind reading that public?
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
The one public comment comes from Don Webb, 1600 Averett Road, Wake Forest. And it reads, a long-standing public safety issue remains on South Main Street. The construction of the 401 bypass resulted in what can best be described as a 90-degree turn in the vicinity of the intersection of South Main with the bypass. Excuse me. In the past, the speed limit was reduced from a posted 45 miles per hour zone to what is now a suggested 35 mile per hour zone just before the curve. 4 sharp curved signs that were finally erected years after the construction and repeatedly knocked down by unsuspecting motorists have now been reduced to 1. Brake marks, ruts in the shoulder, overturned vans, bumpers, indentations in the berms, and the once again knocked down 401 state highway signs are proof plenty that this is a situation that has existed long enough. Adding to this concern is the divided highway sign one sees as they approach the 4-lane bypass. After the successful negotiation of the curve, one might assume that the road now divides when in fact there is another 90-degree turn to the right and a sudden merge with bypass traffic. There are indications that at least one vehicle went straight past this sign and into the highway. Talk about luck. This matter has been brought to the attention of the town administrator and the NCDOT in the past. Hopefully it will be corrected before an avoidable tragedy takes place. We've been very fortunate it hasn't already happened.
Okay. Is that those signs ours or DOT's? Do you know, Kelly?
Those would be DOTs.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can get them to take a look at that. I'm not
I took
sure.
a drive today just purposely to look at that sign, and I didn't realize they had put the 35, suggested 35 on the curve. But it is confusing when you first see the 45, and I think we had this discussion years ago. Why is it even 45? I don't get it. I know it's DOT, but it's so many signs. I mean, you're speeding up, you're slowing down. I just go 35. It's no point in going 45 and trying to slow down to 35. So it doesn't make logical sense. And maybe somebody's not completely thinking about the situation since the 35 went up. But I drove it purposely to see what they were talking about to make sure I understood.
See if we can get Joey to look
Yep.
at that for us.
That's what I was
Maybe
gonna do,
just
is
forward to
okay.
Joey or something.
I
And,
was going to send it off to him and his staff.
yeah. Okay.
And I have
Thanks.
not, when he refers to town administrator, this is the first time I've heard from this gentleman, I believe, so it might have been
Gotcha.
previous town administrator.
Planning.
That could be anybody, couldn't it? Okay. Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Was there one other comment, though?
Yeah. Free.
No, I'm asking on the
That
public.
was
hearing.
just,
Specific to a public hearing.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next item is the consent agenda. There is, looks like 8 items on there. If the board wish to pull one and talk discuss and vote separately, we can certainly do that, and we will do that immediately after the vote on the consent agenda. I do have one item that I want to add to the consent agenda that you don't see on there. And I asked the board if the pleasure of adding this to this consent agenda. It's a proclamation recognizing Black History Month. And if it's okay with the board, I'll take time to read that.
Do we do that every year? I mean, we've done it before, no?
We've done it before.
Good. It's good to do it again, though. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah,
So
we've done it before. I think we do it as an annual.
good.
So it's
Okay.
recognition of the month. So I would like to read it if that's okay. Proclamation of the Town of Rolesville Black History Month 2021. Whereas Black History Month affords special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black history and the honor of many Black leaders who have contributed to the progress of our community and nation. And whereas such knowledge can strengthen the insight of all citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that has been made in the crusade to eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups and the continuing struggle against the racial discrimination and poverty. And whereas African Americans of North Carolina have long played a vital role in serving our state and nation during times of need, including military service and through the practice of medicine. And whereas the events of the past year have made it clear that there is an ongoing need to address racial inequality across our institutions of medicine, law enforcement, government, education, technology, and more. And whereas this year's theme, the Black Family Representation, Identity, and Diversity, explores the wide-ranging diversity of Black family life from single to two-parent households to nuclear, extended, and more recently biracial. And whereas the Town of Rolesville is proud to recognize the achievements, sacrifices, struggles, and progress of our Afro-American community, but also acknowledges the important work that remains in service of achieving true equality in our system. Now, therefore, I, Ronnie I. Kern, Mayor of Town of Rolesville, do hereby proclaim February 2021 as Black History Month in Rolesville and urge our citizens to join together in making this period of rededication to the principles of justice and equality for all people. In witness, therefore, I have hereinto set in and affixed the seal of the Town of Rolesville on this day, the second day of February, in the year of our Lord 2021. So I would like to add that to the consent agenda if it's the pleasure of the board, and I will entertain a vote on the consent agenda.
I move that we add this to the consent agenda, and if there are no more adjustments, I move that we also approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, board. Appreciate that. And now the next item is a few public hearings. A couple of them are for town property. I see Danny has made his way into the chamber here, so I'm sure he's going to present this for us. The first item is a public hearing, case MA 2101, Town of Rolesville to rezone 49.23 acres located at West Young Street from residential R1, downtown commercial, and downtown commercial conditional zoning and industrial zoning districts to town center zoning district. So with that, I will open the public hearing and entertain the introduction from staff.
Excuse me, I got a little choked up there. Thank you, Mayor. You did a great job of introducing. There's about 13 properties here involved with different types of zoning classification that you already have introduced. The area outlined here in red is the entire proposed area to go to the town center district. And if you need to, let me enlarge that a little bit so you can get a better grasp of it. As you see, this is West Young Street. The properties here goes around the Privet property, does not include the Privet property, and then continues along South Main Street to the parking lot, the gravel parking lot that's sometimes used for the park. and then goes around 2 houses, does not include those 2 houses that front on South Main Street, and of course includes the park itself, and as well as the cell tower location, which is this triangle track here. All of the properties here identified are town properties with the exception of the cell tower. So moving forward with the current zoning, as you've identified, you've got single-family residential, you've got the downtown commercial, which is the C district. And let me do the same so it'd be easier to see. Commercial district, there is one commercial downtown commercial conditional zoning district right here, which is that hashed area. And of course, there's also even an industrial district classification. I believe that may have been when the location of the old water tank or operation with the water tank. So with the history of all of this, you've got a hodgepodge of commercial basically properties with the park and the cell tower. And from the comp plan, oops, sorry, let me go back. Wrong click of the button there, excuse me. From the comp plan, you see it's identified as open space, which is the green. And this area here is identified from the Comprehensive Plan 2017 as the Town Center District designation. So all of this property being proposed is in the Town Center from the Comprehensive Plan. And of course, open space is an element of the the Town Center as well.
What is the zoning on the park property now?
It is residential, R1.
R1.
As you see right here on the left. It's right here.
This just kind of cleans that up.
It makes it more complex, gets it all cohesive and not a big hodgepodge, and it makes a more defined town center district.
Yeah, I think that was my question too, just to make sure we're protecting the park from anything that we're missing.
The park is already restricted.
Okay.
It's got restricted covenants on it because it got federal money for land and water conservation. So it cannot be developed without having to go through a big extensive process to undo it.
Okay.
So it will not change that status. And of course, it's under control of the town.
Right.
And a park could be in any zone, can't it?
That's correct.
So it really, it really don't matter what zoning you put in.
I got a question. The piece here is what again?
Okay, let me enlarge it for you.
The carved out piece?
Yeah, we'll carve out.
That's Rodney, I think.
That's the private property.
But why wouldn't we make that downtown too?
Well, in this process, we did not initiate anything on anybody else's property at this time. As we move forward with the land development ordinance, we will be intending to discuss with him about going into it, because we do want to make the rest of the properties designated that want to be, and again, I want to stress want to be, in the town center. We think they'll find it more advantageous being the town center than the current LDO zoning.
Okay.
I mean, UDO, excuse me, UDO. I said the wrong thing. UDO zoning that we have now.
Which will soon be LDO.
Yeah, it'll soon be LDO.
Okay.
I apologize for mixing up the letters.
No problem.
So moving along, the current land use has got some single-family home and public buildings uses on the property. It's located inside the town. Surrounding area is R1, downtown commercial watershed, and is located in the town center overlay district. Now, with this change today, we're only changing the zoning. The town center overlay district is going to require a text amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance to remove this, and that has not been advertised. So today you authorized scheduling a public hearing for March 2nd, and you will take care of removal of this property if you do grant this zoning change to remove it from the town center overlay, because that's a duplication of standards and conflict. It will create conflict. But because it's a text amendment, we couldn't do it as a map amendment. I just wanted to explain why it's not tonight.
How many days we got to do that?
Oh, there's no time limit on that, but we need to go ahead and get it done. Appropriately, you've got it scheduled for your March 2nd meeting for a public hearing.
Okay.
So the intent of the Town Center District is for a compact urban form of development centered on a mix of uses, residential and non-residential, with specific designs and development standards. And the town's comprehensive plan identifies this as a mixed-use development included in the town center area, each with representative and unique standards, which is basically what I just said. But the two areas identified in the comp plan that I pointed out was reserve open space, which is the town's park, that was the green, and then the town center area identified on the rest of the property being asked for rezoning. The thoroughfare plan in 2002, of course, South Main Street and West Young Street are major thoroughfares. The Main Street Vision Plan identifies revision of the streets and intersections for a more walkable streetscape for the town center area. And of course, you have funding for road improvements that's been approved and is under design, and construction will be starting fairly soon, at least by 2022. That I think a lot of you are already aware of. There's no additional street improvements required as authorized, unless it except as what's authorized by site plan due to a traffic impact analysis for this particular location for either street. The comprehensive bike plan does include bike lanes and is part of the Main Street Vision Plan. So the Planning Board on January 25th of this year unanimously voted to recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve the request of MA 2101 as presented. That's rezoning these properties to the town center district. The request is consistent with the Roseville Comprehensive Plan for this property being used for town center and for open space uses, and that is the basis of this request as such a zoning district. Staff recommendation is to approve the rezoning request and approve the resolution statement of consistency. And that's all I have, unless there's some questions.
Okay. Any questions from Danny?
I feel like we spent extensive time on this, I think, in our work session, which was really good. I think those are very helpful, and I'm ready to make a motion if there are no questions.
Can't do it yet.
Oh, I'm ready.
Any comments from the public in favor? I don't think anybody's out there, Rob. We may have to check to make sure that there's nobody out there.
Good check. I think there might be.
Yeah, I was thinking that may be the next public hearing, though, that everybody's coming to.
No.
Neither one.
There were for things later.
Okay. So with no comments from the public in favor, is there any comments from the public in opposition? Not hearing any, then I will close.
Can I ask the town attorney? Town attorney, do you have any questions that you'd like to raise for the planning director to make sure we cover the basis on this?
Just as a matter of clarity for Mr. Johnson, and it may have been something in the memo, but I don't know that it carried over the speaker. Is it not true that the reason we need this rezoning right now is to avoid unnecessary buffering between the new district and the potential economic development of the Cobblestone project with the currently residentially zoned park and antenna site, which would be an unintended negative consequence unless we do this rezoning?
I think, if I understand your question, I think, Dave, you're referring to, let me zoom in on this again. You're referring to this piece here of the current commercial downtown district and then the residential around. We did include these properties for the benefit of buffers and separation and everything that's associated with the development of a portion of that property. And the utilization of the cell tower site, which is in the town center, and the open space area, which is the park, does not affect those sites in any way to where they cannot continue to operate as permitted and can continue to expand or enlarge as wished. It doesn't, as the mayor identified, it does not matter whether it's residential zoning or town center district. But yes, it was included for that purpose of relaxing to get it all in the town center district so that it would be similar zoning adjacent to it. Does that answer? I assume that answers Dave's question.
I have a question. I'm sorry. If Cobblestone didn't come forward with their plans, would this be as it is today?
Most likely, yes. Because the town center is a recommendation of the comprehensive plan to change this area to a town center district and to be a form-based code, which is what the text amendment was about.
All right.
It'd be your next step probably to go ahead and pursue development on this in light of this rezoning.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. So if not them, somebody.
Yes,
Right.
and this new district creates more flexibility than the other regulations had in it.
Okay.
And of course, we're designating the zoning to match the new zoning district.
Great. Thank you.
Did Dave's question get answered? I didn't hear him respond.
He did answer it.
He did, oh, okay.
Okay. With that, Ms. Sutton, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-R05, Town Board of Commissioners Statement of Consistency, and approve the case MA 21-01 as presented.
Very good. I hear a second.
I'll second.
Okay. I got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any nays? Not hearing any. I think it was unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much, board. Appreciate that. Next public hearing is case MA 21-02, which is also Town of Rolesville property to rezone 116.296 acres located at 11624 Lewisburg Road, recently annexed into Rolesville town limits to residential 40 watershed RW 40 zoning district. So with that, I will open the public hearing. And Danny, do you have a presentation on this?
Yes, I do, Mayor, and it will be brief.
Okay.
This is a very simple case with the recent annexation and the fact that it was in the county jurisdiction. We do not have ETJ around this area, that it was necessary under state law for the town to designate a zoning classification. So the property on your left, the outline in red, is the park property. Just to help you see, this is 401. This is North Main Street right here. This is the Lakes of Rolesville subdivision right across the road, but includes all of this property being add-in. The road itself on Lewisburg Road is in the town limits by special act of the legislature. And of course, this is the annexation that occurred last month has now brought it into the town limits, and it's in effect, and we need to do the designation of zoning. So with that said, we go to the comprehensive plan as our guide. And as you see, it is this yellow color with the lines drawn in it. And if I move down to the legend, you'll see down here on the left-hand side, it says it's water supply watershed and low-density residential. That classification is particularly applies from the comp plan that limits this site to only one possible zoning classification, and that is residential 40 watershed. The surrounding properties in the county have a similar classification, and what's being applied for here is specifically for that type of restriction for protection of the drainage basin of the water supply for Little River. That's the intent of that district. The property is single-family structure on the property with agricultural uses. It previously was our Wake County Residential 40, and surrounding parcels are Wake County Residential 40 watershed. So the classification being proposed is consistent to the state rules dealing with the Little River watershed, which is the WS2 classification, and it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. Lewisburg Road, of course, is US 401 bypass. It's a major thoroughfare. It is, of course, called for in the transportation plan as a 4-lane landscape median road, which is what's existing out there. And no additional street improvements are required except as authorized by site plan approval through the development of the property, which is, of course, involved in a traffic impact analysis. Bike lanes are not included along this highway. The area is identified as water supply watershed and low-density residential, which I've already pointed out, and the request is consistent to the Roseville Comprehensive Plan. So the Planning Board on January 25th unanimously voted to recommend to the Town Board of Commissioners to approve the requested rezoning of MA 2102 as presented. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan for this property to be used for a water supply, watershed, and low-density residential uses, and the request is such a district. Staff recommendation is to approve the request and the resolution statement of consistency. And that's all I have, unless there's some questions.
Okay. Any questions for Danny from the board? I guess the only question I got now is just more of an afterthought. Why did we break these two up? Why didn't we do them the same night, the annexation and the rezoning?
Because I needed the annexation to occur first, because we got to annex it before we could apply it.
Yeah.
And we just didn't get it in the schedule of accomplishing it at the same
Okay.
time.
Because I was thinking usually we would do it the same night.
We
do one
could
and then
have, yes, sir, but
Okay.
we have 60 days to zone it after the annexation goes into effect, which we're well within that period.
Right, got you. Okay. Not hearing any questions from Danny, I will open the, well, I already opened the public hearing. I will call for any comments from the public in favor. Maybe let's verify that again, if you don't mind. Also verify any comments from the public in opposition.
Hey, Danny, that little piece right here was, is that the
That-
piece that they wanted to buy back or something?
That's open space within the Lakes of Roseville. The
Okay,
green?
so- Right here, next to Creek Pine Drive?
Oh, that's part of the property.
Okay.
Yes, that's included what you acquired, what the town acquired.
Right, okay.
Okay. So not having any comments in favor or opposition, I will close the public hearing and turn the matter over to the board for deliberations and a resolution. So is there any discussion by the board?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-R-06, Town Board of Commissioners Statement of Consistency, and approve the case MA 21-01 as presented.
Second.
Who seconded? Is that you? Okay. We got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion from the board members? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Not hearing any. Motion approved, 5-0. Thank you, board. Thank you, Danny. The next item is the last public hearing really is the Cobblestone Economic Development Agreement restatement, and I believe looks like you're going to present that. You are Dave One. My understanding, we have already approved this. You already maybe recall we approved this a while back, a couple months ago, and maybe the attorney can explain. I think it was a couple changes made and didn't feel comfortable signing off on it until the board got to see that and make sure you're aware of anything that changed from the last time we approved it. So I think I summed that up right. Is that correct, Dave?
That's right, Mayor. The amount of time that has passed since the last time the board has seen the economic development agreement created enough time for the development team to make a number of changes to the plan that they originally presented and which forms an exhibit to the economic development agreement. That combined with now having adopted the new zoning ordinance for this area meant that the original agreement that you approved now has enough change in it that Ashley Anderson and I agreed that this is something that should come back to the board because one could consider it an amendment. We didn't want to call it an amendment given the original EDA was never signed. And the reason it was not signed is that we were allowing time for Cobblestone and the Privet site to engage in the conversations that they had discussed at our last public hearing that were needed. So this provided them an opportunity to reach an agreement, which I understand that they now have.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Kelly?
Let me understand this. They still do not have an agreement in writing, so 2-A stays in the agreement that we are contemplating.
There is an agreement.
Okay.
As of this afternoon, there is a signed and notarized agreement that is to be delivered to James Warren and held in escrow until closing.
So there is an agreement. Okay.
Yeah, and it was notarized too, I think I saw, right?
Okay. Okay.
I couldn't tell if you said no or never. Okay, so it's now no.
Yeah.
Notarized.
3 hours ago, 4 hours ago.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Very good.
That's very cool. Do we get a copy of that letter?
The agreement?
Yes. Can we get a copy of
That
that?
agreement, public information, Dave, and can it be sent to the board?
That agreement is a public record as it was delivered to staff.
So yes, I'll get you a copy. Would you like to review the changes from the previous version to the new version?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I think whatever single Dave and our other attorney to bring it back to the board, let's see what they were.
Okay. So let me try this if I can. Getting smaller, isn't it? Okay. Here we go. So in front of you is the new site plan that is attached to the agreement. And I just want to bring that up just to remind you the reasoning for this modification was because, as Dave said, time has gone by, and also the developer has made some modifications. So this site plan is the new site plan that will be attached to the agreement. It eliminated a apartment complex unit, and we can go through the chart, and it eliminated townhomes in this leg, right? We had a leg here that had townhomes. Those are gone now.
What's in there now? Is it?
That'll be their retention area.
So no buildings, anything at all in that?
According to the site plan, no.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So is there any more residential even close to what they had initially came to us with?
Yes, I'll go through that.
Okay.
So this is the site plan. We can come back and refer to that. And this is the chart that was in your packet that talks about the modifications that have been made based upon the site plan. So previously, there was 40,900 square feet of commercial in 5 buildings. Now there's 49,830 square feet of commercial space in the 5 buildings.
So that went up?
That did go up by 9,000 square feet.
That's good.
As far as residential goes, previously it was no more than 194 dwelling units, 182 apartments and 12 townhomes and 9 buildings. Now it's 180 dwelling units, which is just 180 apartment units in 7 buildings. So that did go down for residential.
So all the townhouses are gone.
Yes. We did modify, and we just talked about the Privet insurance building concerns. And now that that has been signed, that item has been removed in this agreement. The phasing has been modified slightly. The first phase, because of new site plan, just to make sure it matched up with the new commercial square footage that was being proposed. The most significant change, the only change, quite frankly, is that instead of 20,450 square feet of planned commercial must happen in the first phase, it is now 24,915 square feet of planned commercials, which is 1/2 of the total, must happen in phase 1. Under material consistency, this is one that our attorney recommended, instead of this continually to come back for modifications to you all, if there is something that is not material and changes, modifications to the site plan, that the town manager may approve those schematic designs to comply with town land use regulations or another. So that is essentially trying to have any modifications that are not material significantly, and we can talk about that, what that means, and you probably know better than I would what that means, that it would just be administrative kind of approval. And that's it. Those are the only changes from the previous agreement that you saw and approved to this new agreement.
So I have questions.
Me too.
Starting with those townhouses.
Yeah, that was a drastic change.
And 5A.
Can't hear you.
And 5A, where they're saying there's no limit on the amount of residential space or units that may be included in the first phase.
It's hard to hear you, Michelle.
I
Okay.
have that highlighted as
Okay.
well, Michelle.
Okay, so I'm saying, I have a question in regards to why they're not doing the townhomes. And then I'm noticing in 5A, the phase requirements. Can you hear me? Okay, there is no limit on the amount of residential space or units that may be included in the first phase.
And that was in your previous approval too.
But I thought didn't we have conversation?
You were making them do a minimum commercial.
Commercial, not residential.
That's right.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. But townhomes, though. what's
Was
the
there
story with
any,
that?
I'm sorry, Michelle, was there anything in there, still on 5A, that said that they have to build so much before residential, and then put the commercial in there, or can they build all the residential they want and then commercial? Is that outlined somewhere? I couldn't remember.
No, it's as those boxes indicate. So the first phase, you must have a minimum amount of commercial, which is 24,915. Half the commercial must be built during phase 1. There's no limitations on the amount of residential.
I mean, is that limitation also 0?
There's zero what? Zero
I mean,
residential.
do they have to put any residential in at all in phase 1?
No.
So I guess my question is, can they build 100% residential first and then work on the commercial after that? I guess that's my question.
You want to try to answer that, Dave, as far as how you think phasing means legally
What?
in the agreement? On 5A, Dave, as far as the phase requirements in the box?
I do not have it open here at my place. It would take me a moment to get back to it. My memory is that the focus of the board and the town throughout has been to ensure that commercial was built in the first phase.
I know that was the intent of the board, but to me, I never thought it would not include any residential. I thought it would be some of each. I assumed that, so my bad, but I just didn't think it would be no residential at all.
It doesn't say that, though.
It doesn't say that.
It says no limit on the amount
No
of
limit.
residential.
Right, no limit means they
It
don't have
almost
to.
certainly will include it, and we'll certainly hear from the applicant, but there was no requirement. Rather, the concern as a public policy
Was
was
commercial.
to avoid a situation where all the apartments and townhomes were built,
Yes.
and we never saw the commercial promise that formed the basis of our incentive.
I know, but I'm still saying, so there will be residential built with the commercial?
Yes, I think the applicant will state that.
I
Would be
just,
their
I
intent.
just don't want to see us flip-flopping between, okay, you want to do
Buildings have
commercial.
both, don't they?
They do.
Yes. I think April's question is a little bit different, Dave. Her question is, the timing of when what would we call phase one and what would be done during phase one? So is it months long, years long? But the question is, can they do residential in phase one and commercial at the end of phase one?
Right.
So it's the timing of phase one building. Is there anything, we don't have anything as far as the timing components in phase one, if I remember.
If the board will give me a moment to go back to the agreement, let me look it through, and then I will give you an opinion in the next couple of minutes.
Okay.
So what happened with the townhomes?
You'll have to ask the applicant.
Oh,
Because they had to shift on their site, and they chose to move that water retention.
Do you know if these apartments are going to be market rate apartments?
I do not know.
Initially, they were, because in a conversation I had with him, they were.
Okay, good. All right.
I think they are over there.
Jill, this was going to be, where the hand is here, going to be the water retention area in the center of this. And as a result of shifting due to the zoning that and the modifications that were approved by the board, it best for their purposes, I believe, you'll be told, put this apartment moved over here from here to here, and move all the retention area into this area, which was reserved for the townhomes under the original site plan. And I think they best can better explain that.
What was the original proposal? How many townhomes and how many apartments? I just can't recall. It's too many
12
pages.
townhomes.
There were 5 buildings commercial, and it continues to be 5 buildings commercial, which has mixed use in it.
Right.
And there were 9 buildings, I believe, which included those commercial buildings of residential, and now there are 7. So there's 2 less buildings in the site plan.
So it looks like,
That wasn't my question.
12 townhomes, Sheila. It was to be 12 townhomes and 182 apartments. For a
Okay.
total of
Oh, I'm sorry,
194.
excuse me.
12 townhomes is
Yes.
what we're talking about. Okay, I thought it was way more than that. Okay, I got you.
and it looks like, if I'm looking at it right, the original, do you have that, can you bring that map back up? The townhouses are obviously out of that leg of property now, but there's a new building up in the upper corner. It's a 12 apartment
Yes,
thing to take the place of those 12 townhouses,
Right
is what
here.
it looks like, yeah.
yes, a smaller
Yeah, like a
2
smaller
or
building,
3-story apartment complex.
yeah.
Dang, I wanted to buy a townhome. I was looking to buy a townhome.
Okay. Any other questions or any more comments
Hey,
from?
did you get to your answer yet, or do you want to go through public comments?
Let's go through public comments.
Okay. All right. So I will call for any public comments from anybody in favor. I think we do have some people next door for this, Robin, so if you could. Okay. All right.
All right,
If you don't mind, step up to the mic and state your name.
okay. Rodney Privet, and I'm, of course, owner of the property that joins Cobblestone up on Main Street and Young. I'd just like to say I appreciate y'all giving me the time just to make a few comments. First of all, I'd like to thank the board and the town attorney and everything for working with us and requiring Cobblestone to consider our request for as the easement and the parking, this access agreement on their property and everything, because it has put us in a bind as far as access to our building, our business, our business next door, and especially the beauty shop next door. The beauty shop, the lady's been there probably as long as we have. We've been there since 1961. She's been there. Her family's probably been there about 50 years. But she still does cater to a lot of her clientele. There's still a lot of the senior citizens in the town of Roseville. that's been here forever. So the parking problem, it's going to be a parking problem. We just have to deal with it, I guess. But just want to thank y'all for at least getting us that easement, 14-foot easement to be able to service the back of our building. Still not going to be any parking back there. And the 10 spaces on the Cobblestone property. Kenny and I has been working back and forth on it. We did get a thing signed this afternoon, as the town manager mentioned a while ago. Didn't have time to send it out to everybody. Just happened like after 4 o'clock today. Okay, so, but I just want to let you know, appreciate y'all doing it. And David, Neil, your attorney, he has been great to work with. He has given us some good advice. He was willing to be like a mediator type thing or whatever. He's been really good to work with. I even spoke to him late this afternoon, right before coming here, that type of thing. So just didn't get a chance to mention it to anybody else. So that's why I wanted to come up here and publicly thank y'all. But I do want to clear one thing up if I can, as far as this project. It's been going on, Kenny and I were just out there talking about it. It's been going on 2 years right now when they first came to see us. It's been 2 years. But so I want to clear up a situation that I've heard from several occasions, that Privet's holding up the progress, holding up the program, Privet's holding up the project. Privet hadn't held up the project, y'all, as y'all, hopefully y'all understand. But that's what we've heard a lot, so we hadn't held it up. Reason being is, just to give you a little history of it, 2 years ago, they came to us, and Kenny and his dad and all came to us with the first proposal, okay, showing the complex, the project. Hey, it looked good. Came to us. I said, well, does this include us being gone or staying? Oh, no, definitely y'all to be gone. They'll be buying us out. And where our building is currently now, would be like a commons area, a park area, and then you'll be able to look there and see the big pretty building with the clock tower and all that stuff, your first proposal, if y'all remember. So I said, well, we got to get on the ball and do something here. So they asked us about a price. They said, and I said, well, I don't know. I said, we just have to get it appraised, I guess. We held off a while talking back and forth with them. I said, well, I guess we'll have to spend the money to get appraisal. So we did. At our expense, we went and got an appraisal. And all honest, we talked back and forth with them and forwarded appraisal on to them. Of course, it appraised them out. And we used like I said, independent appraiser. Matter of fact, we called the same guy that y'all use, the town uses. He was so swamped and busy at the time, he referred us to somebody else that was familiar with the area, so that's who we got, independent appraiser. Forwarded on to Cobblestone, and so they were planning to buy us out. We move on. So I was kind of squirming, trying to find something else in town because not only us, but the 4 tenants we got, they would just have to be out or whatever, I guess. But I was able to look around town, and it's not a whole lot of options in town to do that. So anyway, they came back and finally said, well, we're not going to buy y'all out. They offered us several thousands of dollars less than the appraisal. So I knew then we might be in trouble. So then they came back and said, no, they're going to use the money that they had for us to buy the Wilkins property, but then I think that fell through. So it has changed several times. No fault of Cobblestone, the town, or me, or whatever, but it has just changed several times. Once we found out that they're not going to buy us, that's when we came to y'all and said, hey, let's see about this easement, the 14-foot deal and the parking and all that stuff. So that's why that came about. If they'd have bought us out, or town bought us, we wouldn't have been having all this conversation. So I do appreciate y'all making sure that had gotten taken care of. So anyway, and as far as these easements and the parking easement, we've had, and Kenny and I was just out there talking about, that's the fold on it right there, y'all. Don't want you to think we hadn't been working on it. We cut down several trees, okay, because every time, I think we're on the 4th proposal, and that proposal you got, and that's the 4th one. Every one, since we found out they weren't going to buy us, we came up with some agreements, but we had to ditch them and start over. So we have been working on it. And so like I said, once the first proposal kind of went away, then we've been working on it ever since. So I would like to just say, as far as the parking goes, please, I asked before, make sure I don't mean to be mixing this with the downtown Main Street project, but please make sure the downtown project and Cobblestone work together, because we're losing our parking up front. We will not have any handicap parking, don't look like at all around our building. And Vicky's hair shop, like I said, caters to a lot of the older people. They're going, once this thing is developed, if it goes through fine, it's going through, and we support it. I want you to know we support it. Wish it'd been a little different outcome as far as that, because we didn't want to move, but getting rid of us, getting rid of that 90-year-old building is going to be stuck up there in the middle of all these new buildings. Hopefully it's going to blend in, but I don't know. I just hope we don't end up with with an empty, old, 100-year-old building up there in downtown Roseville. So hope it don't, come to that. So, but we are planning, stay there and continue on. We fixed up our building. We try to keep it up to date. But the parking situation is bad, because I think the closest parking spaces on the Cobblestone property we'll have will probably be about half length of a football field. And I can't see those old ladies going to the beauty shop for that, and plus some of them in a wheelchair. So we'll work something out. We might even have to go up there and park on the daggone bike trail to get them in and out of that building. If we do, I guess we will, and hopefully just work it out. But we do support the Main Street project also, as long as it's done right and everything. I know that's going to infringe on us some in the front of our building, and a bike trail's fine. I've just been here 40-some years, 44 years, I think, and I've seen a whole lot more cars downtown than bicycles. So, and I know everybody's going the bicycle route, and that's fine, but we're hoping to get as much parking on the front as possible, since we are losing everything behind us. And I know a lot of towns I go to, as you know, in Wake County, and all around everywhere, most of the time, if they have a commercial area, downtown area, at least they have a public parking behind the buildings. If they don't have it on the street or minimum, at least they got a park. A lot of times they have a public parking lot that the town owns, for example, to cater to the business all up in town. We don't have that luxury here, so we don't have a whole lot of buildings uptown. On our side, we're the only ones left, because I think the town's already bought the old fire station building, the Spencer Jones building, the post office, the bank, what used to be the PUSB, and all that's gone. Everybody but us. We were never approached about buying and getting us out of the way. So I guess if we stay there, we just work together. And Kenya and I find we did, like I said, we did agree on a final easement, access easement, as far as the 14-foot between the buildings, and also the parking on 10 spaces on the Cobblestone property. Just this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So I just want to say again, thank y'all for at least making that happen, because if we didn't have that, we really would be in a mess. So
thank you, Rodney, for working.
So it's done, but just keep in mind on this other deal, please think about us as far as the parking and everything on this other street for us and the guys across the street and everybody uptown there, because it's going to be a different ball game, and we're looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like. It's going to be a mess while it's under construction. I will say that. It's going to be, and maybe we'll find a buyer and sell out and move on somewhere else, so we won't have to deal with all the construction. I don't know. We'll just see. Appreciate y'all doing this, because if not, we would have had zero. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. In response to Commissioner Sneed's question, it's not as clear taking a look at just the economic development agreement without the purchase and sale agreement considered with it. So let me walk through this very quickly so that we all understand how we get to our understanding as to how construction will occur. The Section 5, 5A and 5B, they set a timeline for the first phase of 30 days to accomplish a variety of things. Among those are the municipal facility idea, the half of the commercial space, and we did have the privet building requirement in there as well. All of that needs to be done within that 30-day site plan idea, so we know what will be in the initial site plan. With regard to how long does it take to happen, we have to look to the purchase and sale agreement, which contains a 16-month timeline from the date of the signing of the purchase agreement, which will align with the economic development agreement. So 16 months from then, the commercial building has to be started to the point that its foundation is set and its footings are poured. That's you submit a plan and now we want to see it go vertical. We don't want to be looking at just a paper project in perpetuity. Does that hit the answer? And if not, let me come at it from a different direction.
So if I understand, you said it's 16 months they have before they have, within that 16 months, they have to have commercials started, construction started.
That's right. So they have to have all of their approvals done all of their grading and utilities work finished, and to the point that they can start to go vertical.
With commercial, but does that mean that the residential, within that 16 months, they could have built 180 apartments in that 16 months, and then in month 16, they start the commercial? Is that what I'm understanding?
If they were superhuman and could do that, absolutely. So long as the commercial has to be in phase one,
right?
And the commercial of that phase one has to be vertical in 16 months from the date of the contract.
So they can. So what I'm understanding is they can build as much residential as they want, and then get to the commercial as long as it started within 16 months. So.
April, you're right. You're right on paper. That is correct. Now, they'd have to be superhuman to accomplish it.
Build any, you know.
Let me tell you that if I'm building 5 buildings of 180 apartments, I'm gonna build one and see how long it's gonna take me to fill it up, and then I'm gonna build another one. And there's not a market for 180 apartments in a year and a half.
So they'll probably build one and then maybe some commercial.
You can ask Kenyon when he gets in here, he may want to build 2.
Yeah.
You know, but nobody in their right mind is going to build
I would like to see them build at least one. I would like to see them build at least one.
Yeah.
Residential.
Yes.
And then some commercial. Yeah. But we'll find out. He's coming in. We'll ask him.
Yeah, and these are questions that he'll answer. But if I was doing it, if I were doing it, you know, 1 or 2 max.
I just wanted to see
until I got it filled up.
I just wanted to see if there was anything written in the contract that stated.
And to help me understand what Dave just said, I believe in that 18 months,
16.
You got to put all the infrastructure in it has to do before you can put a commercial building in there or a residential building, which is the streets and the grading and all that underground and utilities. All that's got to go in that 18 month, right?
16.
Correct. That would be the typical progression of commercial development, and it is 16 months from the date of the contract. So that means they need to get through all of their approvals with us as well as with the state, and they need to close on the property, and they need to start on the construction on the site, and they need to start to go vertical in 16 months. Right. It's a lot to do.
Yeah. And if you look at Heritage and you look at those apartments there, you wouldn't see them filling up as they have filled up if you didn't see Harris Teeter and those others that are walkable.
Yeah.
These people are going to have to do retail to attract people to those apartments.
Yes, I agree. I just wanted to see if it was written down.
Yeah. But
good question.
Yeah.
But I need to clarify the word started. That threw me completely for a loop. So I'm thinking of completed. I'm all excited about the 24,915 square feet of commercial. And then, Dave, you said started within the 16 months. Break it down for me. Oh, we can't
hear you,
Dave.
You're on mute. Maybe.
Can't hear you.
Apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So the repurchase agreement that triggers our remedies and their default at the 16 months means that they have to have gotten to the point that they are going vertical with their commercial work. So that would be as written in the contract, or actually, in the purchase agreement, and in the repurchase agreement that would be recorded. They have to have footings poured and the foundation completed by 16 months.
Does that mean I can go buy groceries at month 16 at a grocery store?
No.
No.
I'm not understanding the word started and pourings. Help me here.
The foundation is laid.
We would have to. So here's the way to think about this. We put the tightest collar we could as part of the economic development agreement negotiations to ensure that we did not enter into this agreement and then not see anything happen at the site for years. Or that we would see the entire site sit for years, then be graded, denuded of its vegetation, and then nothing happened. So the idea here is to make sure that the development team is held to the fire, and they have to complete all of their preliminary work necessary to make the phase 1 required commercial building go vertical at the very least. That's the minimum thing they could do. If they did the minimum thing, they certainly would probably be being yelled at by their financiers because they would not have brought online any of the residential or other supporting amenities that would be necessary to make phase 1 work as shown on their site plan.
Okay.
Let's bring in Keenan and we can ask him some questions. How about that, guys? Y'all see if he's out there.
Wait, I just have one quick question. So, irregardless of what happened between Mr. Privet and this here company, and we don't know what that agreement stands, are we? I just feel like I'm jumping into another conversation without, because he.
As long as both parties are satisfied.
That's what I'm saying. So that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we you know, that's private anyway.
Not that I'm saying I'm taking sides. I'm just saying I just feel like, why don't we just have all this information so we'll at least know?
It's a private.
I know it came.
Why should we care as long as both parties are agree to it?
Well, I know that part, Jackie. That's not my question, though. What were you going to say?
Commissioner Medley, I can provide the board an update on that. That will align with the prior discussions that we heard from Mr. Privet back when we first approved this agreement. Mr. Privet was looking for an access easement of 14 feet along the western side of his building. That has since been surveyed out, and that has been agreed to by Cobblestone. That's a permanent easement. And in addition to that, he was seeking a license for 10 parking spaces inside the Cobblestone development, and that's been agreed to in a separate agreement.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, I just felt like I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Well, welcome, Keenan. Step up and state your name, address, and you can do a brief introduction if you would like. And I think the board has a couple questions to ask you. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, again, my name is Kenyon Burnham with KDM Development and the Cobblestone Group. My address is 8120 Bentwood Place, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27615. Yeah, you know, I'm primarily here to answer questions and help work our way through the process, but I do want to, again, reiterate my appreciation to not only everybody on the board, but members of staff and working through this process. You know, I think I say it every time I get up here, but they've been fantastic, so it bears repeating. You know, we're very excited to get going on this project. It really feels fantastic to be welcomed into this community with such open arms and, you know, being brought forward to, you know, being selected to put a project like this in the downtown district of Rolesville really does mean a lot. So thank you for that. And, yeah, I'd like to just basically proceed to answering any questions you may have and help out there.
Keenan, would you tell the board how you're going to develop the apartments? You've got, what, 5 buildings?
Yeah, so I think we were at five buildings, 3 of which are solely residential, and then we have 3 of which are mixed-use facilities, and then one that'll includes a flex space in it that can either go to apartments or a second floor of retail. Our plan to develop the site is going to involve starting with the 2 main residential buildings in the back, the 4-story ones, along with the mixed-use building towards the front there, the kind of that main. I wish I brought my poster board with me. I apologize I didn't. But that primary building that I constantly bring up is our kind of that central element.
Saying this?
So we got that one, yes, and then the green building. You got it, yeah, so that guy right there. So those will be the first 3 buildings we put up. Obviously, that's going to include a pretty substantial representation of retail as well as residential. It is important for us to get the residential on the ground because that largely helps drive that commercial success. You know, we're going to bring in a lot of small businesses that'll thrive to a much greater degree with a residential backing on them. While residential doesn't necessarily require retail to help drive it, obviously retail very heavily relies on a residential element. Obviously having it on site is extremely helpful, but in the immediate area as well. So,
are you going to do the retail, some of the retail at the same time you're doing the apartments?
It'll all flow pretty much at the same time. Yeah, it's hard to say. You might see sticks going up on the residential first, and then the retail shortly after. Obviously, between those three buildings, which will start going vertical first, kind of comes up to the general contractor and what they think the best process, as far as the logistics from a logistics standpoint goes at there. But yeah, that pretty much is going to start all three of them at about the same time. I think I would say.
Are you looking for a particular anchor for the retail?
No, not necessarily, right? I think, I think the town has a pretty substantial representation out there with whatever you guys end up doing with your building out there. So for us, we kind of consider that our anchor tenant, even though, we won't necessarily be leasing from us, that it is a large traffic driver for us. So we do kind of consider that to be our anchor tenant. You might see some anchor-esque type tenants coming in. We have a couple of very successful restaurateurs from our Lafayette Village location that will likely be moving up to this location, and we would consider them anchor-esque type tenants who have multiple successful restaurants all over the area. So, I would consider them to be anchors as well. It's sort of a but no, I wouldn't say any nothing like a CVS or a grocery store or something of that sort. We simply don't really have the space out here for that.
Okay.
I will try for Trader Joe's. I have actually reached out to them. No response yet, but I would love to get one out there. Believe me.
The apartments will be market rate apartments.
Yes, sir. Yes.
What is that? I'm not sure I know what
market rate means apartments that are not subsidized in any way.
Correct. Yeah. So no. It's not going to be a low-income facility. It's definitely going to be.
So you're not talking about your average $800 or $900 apartments as an example. Possibly you could be, but you're not.
Gotcha.
Yeah, something in that. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, if you're familiar again with our Foxwood location, about I guess 15 minutes away from here. I'd invite you all to come take a tour at some point if you'd love to. We'd love to have you guys. Those are again they're high-end apartments. Granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, multiple bedrooms, and pretty spacious. We target I always say we target a family demographic. Obviously there's some legislation in the way I can describe it exactly, but we seek people who are looking to stay long-term typically.
And are you planning the retail and the residential all within phase one, those buildings you pointed out?
Yes. Yeah. Well, so obviously not all the retail, but nor all the residential. But
no, the first building, the first three that you pointed to.
Yeah. So that L-shaped building. Right. Yes, that'll obviously has a substantial amount of retail as part of it. It's going to be one of the first ones that goes up, one of those first three that goes up. And just to point out, but obviously there's commercial on the bottom and then residential above it. So the commercial will go up and then the residential will go up on top of that. So it kind of has to all flow from the bottom up, as I always say.
Sure. But that's phase one. I'm just clarifying.
That is phase one.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
In our mind. And, I think ultimately the way this is going to end up going is we're going to be rolling from phase one to phase two so quickly and seamlessly, you're never even going to notice that there was a break in the phasing. So, that's just sort of the way that the market is trending currently, given our time frame.
I have a question. When you said the town is going to be your anchor, what did that mean? What did that mean?
I just, when Commissioner Wilson mentioned an anchor tenant, he refers to, a large traffic driver, someone that brings people in from around the area. So the town is going to have that parcel out there that you guys will be building. I don't know exactly what you're building, but there's been discussions of a couple of different concepts out there. You'll be building some sort of municipal center out there, ultimately on that site, and we do consider that to be an anchor tenant on our end because that's a pretty substantial traffic driver. You guys have a lot of people
this building is a building that was reserved in the EDA for town building facility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now we need to go determine what that is.
Yeah. Michelle, an anchor can be something not necessarily a big box like a CVS or whatever.
No. I just didn't know what he meant by the town would be like an anchor-ish.
But what I wanted to say is if he did attract somebody like a Bonefish, a nice restaurant like that. People
would be an additional anchor.
Yeah, people would love to be in their shadow, and that would bring other people because.
No, I know what an anchor store is, but I wanted to be specific when he said the town.
Yeah,
I wasn't talking about anything else commercial. I was talking about the town specifically.
So, as Commissioner Wilson very well put it, it's a traffic driver, and that's how we consider it to be our anchor tenant. I am going to target some. I've got a couple of larger firms that have reached out about possibly moving into this location that I really hope do consider moving here and will proceed with us, but obviously those are still preliminary talks. They want to see some pen to paper and us building and stuff first before they sign anything. So
I have a question.
What was your you look like your question wasn't answered.
Only question,
I don't
I
have
know
a
Dave's
face. I
question
just
the
didn't, when he said
townhouses,
town, I
so
thought he
that-
meant something like, oh, you guys are building something over there like right now, and that's going to be our anchor. That's what I thought he was saying, so I thought maybe I missed something.
No.
So that's why I said, what do you mean by anchor and the town?
Sure, yeah,
Because to me, we have nothing confirmed.
No,
So
I know. You guys
that's
are.
what I was saying.
Yeah, you guys have not figured out exactly what you're doing out there, and that's fine. But for us, it's, when we look at a
thought I missed
project
a
like this.
meeting.
When we look at a
Okay.
project like this, we consider it from a very broad, the 10-year perspective, because we build to hold, right? So from the 10-year perspective, we consider the town to be our anchor tenant, simply put. So you guys will eventually have some sort of municipal center, whether that's a performing arts center, a community center, some sort of YMCA type use. There's a wide breadth of things you guys might be considering doing out there. From the 10-year perspective, for us, ultimately that will be probably our largest traffic driver out there. Yep.
Please, Commissioner Sneed has a question.
I do. I have two questions. One, as I read through this, it talked about the traffic analysis.
Yes, ma'am.
So am I correct in when I read this that it's going to be done in phases, the traffic analysis? Like, can you explain that to me?
That gets into the the traffic engineering field a little bit more than I'm probably comfortable getting super into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
They are approaching this project from a very broad perspective. I would say they are considering the Main Street expansion project you guys are pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
They are considering the Broughton Townhome project that I'll be bringing forward to you guys in within the next couple of weeks to months here. They are considering all the development that is going to be occurring along Main Street and the development that something like this may or may not end up driving. So it takes a very broad perspective. It's all inclusive and very holistic when they do it.
So no traffic analysis has been done yet. You have to wait until it starts?
No, the TIA, traffic impact analysis,
Yes.
is underway. And it has to be underway because ultimately it's going to determine what are the improvements that needs to be made for the street and where as part of this development. So it is well under its way.
Yes.
We're probably 30 days of completing it, and then all that will be included when the submittal comes in with the site plan for approval through the review process.
Okay, so let me ask one more question on that. So it's already underway, and you have another project that you're bringing to the town, and all the other traffic analysis that I've heard them do so far, they only look at what's already on the books. Is this included because he is part of it? It is included?
Yeah, we made sure that we tied Kenyon
Okay.
to the Broughton property and this property in the TIA. So
Okay.
essentially, he's getting a 2 for 1 or
Okay.
1 for 2, but it includes all his development he wants to bring in this region.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's included already. And then my last question is, how many of these parking spaces are going to be reserved for electric, since I know that parking is already an issue?
Reserved for electric?
Electric cars?
Yeah. So we have it's right on there, and I'm sorry, I'm pulling it off the top of my head. I think it's 4 spaces. I'm pretty sure. It's right up there at that bend there. Oh, just to the left there, Kelly, if you could.
Sorry.
There.
Yeah, scroll down just a little bit. So, and I could probably. What's your point?
This way or up?
Right. It's right. Yeah, you've got it right there. If you move your mouse to the left, you're perfect. Keep going left. Keep going left. Keep going left. Right there. Those 4 spaces right there. It's 4 or 5 spaces will be the electric car reserve spaces. Yep.
Oh, that little indented.
Yep.
Oh, I see. EV charging. Okay.
Got it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And you'll notice a lot of bike racks out there too. We have, we've been made sure to incorporate quite a bit of that because we are expecting quite a few bikers coming down. I've got a couple of bike shops that are looking at maybe moving into the spaces. So.
That electric car demand may change soon.
I know, yeah. And so the nice thing with the way we're structuring it is we have to run it's a special power line right to those spaces, and the reason we put it there is because it provides a nice break for the time being. But ultimately, as that demand increases, you might see those spaces increase as well, as depending on how many Teslas or whatever. Yeah, I can't remember all of them. Neos, there's a lot of them out there.
Very good.
That's all my questions for now.
Thank you. Any other questions? Did you get your townhouse question answered?
Oh, yeah, that was another question, yeah. So, but I have one after that.
Sure thing.
So you changed from townhouses. I'm just curious as to why. I mean, I know you had to do the retention pond.
Yeah, so the retention pond was part of it. Also, without getting too into the nitty-gritty, effectively, the way that City of Raleigh Public Utilities responded to that request to do the townhomes in the back is they were requiring a dedicated sewer line in addition to the one we're already building through the site, all the way from the front of it to the back of it. It effectively just made them cost prohibitive. We would have been, losing a bunch of money on them, unfortunately. So it just made more sense to switch over to the multifamily because it allows for a more private system, more self-metered system. Probably the best way of putting it.
Okay, so this next question is really for Kelly, and you can definitely tell me this tomorrow. I'm just trying to figure out when did we vote on the tenure for this project? Because I know we discussed it, but I just don't remember voting on it.
When did we do what?
He referenced the tenure that the town has with this project.
Oh, a 10-year perspective?
Correct.
So I'm sorry, that's mostly just from my perspective, right? When you asked me about, we were talking about anchor tenants. I meant, so when obviously the town has your time frame, there's a time frame established within the EDA that allows you guys to make that decision as to what kind of, facility you're going to put out there, et cetera, et cetera. From our perspective, right, why I consider it the anchor tenant is because we build things and then we hold on to them. A lot of developers in the area, they like to come in, they build, and then they sell it off to the highest bidder. For us, we build it and we hold it. So we consider you guys to be the anchor tenant because from my 10-year perspective, when I run the numbers and I do our feasibility analysis and our market feasibility analysis with our third parties, we include you guys under that anchor tenantship umbrella.
No, but when did we vote on moving forward with that?
It's not anything a part of what we're talking about. It's his pro forma.
Yes.
He's using those.
To get what you need to start the project.
Yes, to make sure that's a profitable
because I'm like, I remember
private.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We don't want to sit vacant, right? That's
okay.
Yeah, so it does have to work.
Okay, so we're not obligated to that, but okay, that's what I was trying to get. I'm like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you like that.
But it was included in the pro forma.
It was.
So, and we've evaluated, we have looked at the pro forma.
Okay, all right, I remember that. Okay.
Part of the process, but more in the details.
I'm like, I know I forget things, but I just.
No, it's all right. No problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand. It's a lot to it. Sometimes I forget portions of it as well.
Very good. Any additional questions from any of the board members?
Everybody took my question, so.
Good.
Except we do want a bonefish. So
I'm trying, yeah. It's all right. I'm writing all that down as mental notes, as we say. So, bonefish, Trader Joe's.
I have a question for you, too. One more.
Yeah.
If we were to, put this in, the form of a nice little crystal ball, do we have any dates, when you would like to see things start happening?
As soon as possible, right? Yeah, in the development world, right, time is money. So for us, we're taking out a $50 million loan to build this, so we have to pay that back, right? So for us, it's as soon as, we close on the property, it's gangbusters immediately. We are, we are straight to the wall and, putting everything up as fast as possible. That's why I say, realistically, based off the analysis I've done here and the absorption rate, we are expecting, there's going to be phases to it from a financing perspective, but ideally, you won't even notice, from one phase to another as we move through the project because it's just going to be filling up as we go behind it. I'm right down the road at Foxwood Apartments. We have buildings that are going up, which are, I think, on the residential side, which are, I think they're opening up in April or May, sometime in that time frame, and they're already 90% occupied. So for us, it's, we had 3 phases on that project. You'd never know it if you were, living there because it's just been rolling through the whole thing. So.
And this is my last question. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm here for. It
was based on something that April had brought up a couple of meetings ago, and the parking. So by reducing the amount of townhomes and in your apartments, the ratio for parking per unit.
So we had to adjust our parking to effectively match that. Yeah. So it gets down to be so specific now, with the engineering and everything. But there actually is more parking represented here than I believe the last time you guys saw this plan. The ratios. I think the ratios improved ever so slightly. In fact, it was kind of like a rounding number basically. But yeah, the parking ratios remain the same. We have met the requirement within the EDA and the new town center guidance zoning district.
For here, not for other areas like Raleigh.
You got it, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, final question.
No,
Your apartments on Fox Road.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are smart apartments, correct?
You got it. Yeah.
Are these going to be smart apartments?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm very excited. Listen, the smart apartments is the direction the whole world's moving right now. If you don't have them, you're a step behind, apparently. So, we're doing, we use Latch over there as our I guess our smart home experts, and we're looking at a couple of different options for this one. Latch has done a good job, so we might go with them. I've talked to Google's got a pretty cool smart home interface as well, and there's a lot. We had Alarm.com as well. There's a lot of options. So we'll go with they will be smart home integrated.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting on a tangent.
Very good.
So you're breaking ground in February.
Yeah, I hope so. I guess that's up to you guys.
All right, last call. Any additional questions? Any questions for Kelly or Dave before I close the public hearing? Thank you, Keenan.
Hey, thank you guys. Much appreciated. Looking forward to seeing y'all some more.
Thank you for coming out. Okay,
Thank you.
I close the public hearing and turn this over to the board for consideration and a resolution. I will say, just keep in mind, we've already approved this one time. And we're just approving to move forward with the changes as we saw. And it still's got to come back to us, well, I understand, with the site plan and all in the future. Is that right? Is that my understanding?
Yes.
That some of these things about transportation and site plans and stuff still got to come back. So what we're approving is really the Cobblestone Economic Development Agreement that we already approved, and we just doing a restatement of that. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys for deliberation.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the amended and restated Economic Development Agreement authorizing staff to continue partnering with the developer on building the town center project.
Okay. I got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board members?
I got one question. I
Yeah.
was trying to get it before the motion.
Yeah.
But on the, it says the disposition of it still says the privet building disposition. Is that supposed to be in there?
It says removed.
It's out of the
Yeah, it's out on the.
On the right side.
I thought one side was anyway, just,
The removed is on the right-hand side. And it says the agreement is pending between the parties, which means it's been taken out.
right, the next square underneath there. You see where it says the
Yeah, I
privet?
do.
Yeah,
Oh,
anyway,
right.
I was just making sure that was noted, that is not a part of it anymore.
Right. We'll make sure.
That was it. Thanks.
Good question.
I'm good.
Good detail.
It's just sitting in front of me and I noticed they were the same.
Okay. Any other discussion from board members? Deliberations? Not, I'll call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Not hearing any, I think the ayes have it, 5-0. Madam Clerk, thank you very much. Appreciate that. The next item is just amendment to the 2021 Town Board schedule as adopted December of 2020. I think it's adding this February 26th meeting in this March meeting. Is anything else changed in this?
No, Amy's here to go over the budget calendar, and you have that in there, but the purpose really is to ask you to, you have already given us guidance on the February 26th meeting, and so we have that to document that here. But really, we were asking that you add a 5th Tuesday meeting, March 30th. We may even promote it to go at 5, but right now we're saying 6. Depends on how long you want to go. We'll do pizza delivery to everybody, so it'll be virtual, and you'll do pizzas if you want or something, whatever you want. We're thinking about that, but with the purpose is to have a budget discussion with the department heads and yourself to review the proposed budget and have a good conversation.
March 30th, you said?
Yes.
And you said that's virtual.
Yeah, and I don't. If it's better by then, it's certainly in person's always best. I'd love to be able to do it in
If we can
person.
possibly do it in person.
Yeah,
we
we'll
should.
just have to kind of
See how it goes.
see how we go and feel comfortable with it. Right now, it's probably virtual, but if we can figure out how to do it, we can do it in person.
Okay, so I'm putting it down here virtual for right now. I just need to know that.
So will the
If we-
department heads participate in this?
Yes,
meeting? So will.
yes.
Thank God.
It won't be the recommended budget yet. It'll be mostly, we want to give you some opportunity to kind of sort through it and give some guidance before we finalize. It's early enough so that you have April, May to work through it. It's also early enough that
We'll
you,
hear the needs from the department heads then during this meeting.
yep, you're going to hear through, once I have a chance to go through that too, but yes, I'll have that discussion. Yep, and it'll be their opportunity to be in front of you.
Okay, I have one more thing on this. On December 1st, I have in my notes that there's no meeting on 12/21, and I see that it's to be determined. Is that,
That's too close to Christmas.
huh?
Yeah.
Ready just to take it off right now? I think we talked about just probably being fluid, just in case we need it, but
Oh, okay.
we have never, ever taken it off
I left-
formally, but
I
as we
left
get
that little
closer.
piece out of my notes.
I mean,
sorry.
I took it out too.
That's not that close to Christmas. I mean, that's not bad. It's the beginning.
21st?
Yeah,
December
Christmas is on
21st?
Saturday. That's on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That way we won't have a lot of stuff pouring on us when we come back in January.
I think it's your typical practice not to have
One that
a
close.
meeting in December. I don't think we've ever officially taken it out.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll have the mayor's banquet this year coming up, and a lot of times we attend that as a board rather than have a meeting that night.
Okay, so the 21st is still to be determined.
Let's just leave it.
leave it
We'll
like
take
it is
off
for
and
now.
we'll
I'll
see
probably be
what.
the first one saying I can't make it, but I'm just saying.
That's why I was surprised you said that. But I wanted to mention, since we're talking about dates, I had shared this with Kelly, and I know that you all know that we've had retreats in the past, and I know COVID kind of prevents us from doing some things. But I do think it's important for the board to connect as a board outside of just these meetings, as well as we used to connect with the staff, and we don't have that opportunity anymore. But I think we need to come up with some ways to connect, so it's not just the couple meetings a month where we interact. Build those relationships between the board themselves as well as board and staff. So I have shared that with Kelly, so hopefully we can
Yeah, I mean, I
work that
think
in
we all,
somehow.
except for one person in the room, I think those coffees worked well. I thought they were really good opportunity.
I was
And
okay with
if we get along and we can get to a point where we feel like we can comfortably do that, I think some of these things you talked about, Mayor, where they're just tiny topics or timeliness subjects, and you want to reinstitute that on a regular basis, that's a good opportunity to do those. And that's a good time for everybody, I think.
Just don't
But,
do it at
yeah,
7 o'clock
I
in the
like the
morning.
idea the
But
more you
team-
get in a room and talk, the better we're going to be informally.
But not just town topics, but team building and diversity and inclusion, talking about those different things.
Right.
That's how you build cohesiveness on your team and between your staff, because I don't get to see the staff a lot, especially with COVID. I really don't get to see them. So I think that's important. I think I've mentioned that a couple
Yes.
times. So anyway, those are
Yeah,
just
I
thoughts.
really hope, the school board is meeting tonight, discussing, whether to start school back or not. So, and I know the governor has spoken a couple of times, I think, from my understanding, encouraging, to start back. So hopefully things are turning. Maybe that's a positive sign. But yeah, we need to start, doing that. We missed getting together over the holidays and with the staff like we normally do. So we got some makeup to do once we get out of this COVID season, I guess I'll call it.
Can't be all work, Kelly. Dang.
No,
Add a work session
I'm good.
for fun.
I'm good.
Kelly, you just know.
So I think we
That's
have
till 8
to
o'clock in the
adopt
morning.
this. So I need a.
I'll make a motion to adopt the amended schedule of meetings for 2021 as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second from Sheila. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vote carried. Thank you.
Clarification, if I may, the March 30th remains at 6?
Yeah, we can do this until.
He wants to move it to 5.
Determine how big it is.
It was approved.
Did I hear you say a week with December 21st on?
And just leave it to be determined, just like it is on the chart there. We'll cancel if we got other stuff to do.
Can I add one thing I forgot to do during my update, Mayor?
Yeah.
If you don't mind. I just wanted to share that, really just compliment Michael McFarland. He is doing a yeoman's job behind the scenes. And we may not get to hear him do a lot of updates, but Michael is, one, he's really easy to work with, not only for me, but with folks in the town. I hear this all the time. And he gathers information. And so the session that we have coming up with that MOU that you all approved, that was Michael's doing. And he is a great resource in the county for us. So I just wanted to compliment him and Kelly, because they do a lot behind the scenes that I don't have to do. And I feel like when I first came on this board, I had to do a lot more hands-on. And it's nice to have them be resources for us as board members. So thank you all, Kelly. And thank you, Michael, if you can hear me. I just wanted to recognize that he does a lot. So I'm just kind of sharing the information and being a liaison. But Michael McFarland's doing a fantastic job. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Sheila, for bringing that up. With that, is there attorney's report for us?
I about have this thing mastered, don't I? I'm really killing it. I don't have anything for the board this evening.
Okay.
Thank you all.
All that.
Good. Thank you. How about a report, town manager? You have a report?
I don't really have a report. Just to remind you, the next meeting's February 16th at 7. It's going to be virtual. It'll be a kind of a work session. I don't expect any action items. And we'll be kind of going through items that you'll see coming up on future agendas, but it's your opportunity to go through them informally. So
I'm sorry,
such thing as, what's that?
That's virtual?
It will be virtual, yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
But we'll be talking about the Wake Forest annexation agreement forthcoming. We'll be talking about the Kalis Falls reimbursement agreement and those kind of items up in the next.
Which one will be virtual?
The next meeting, February 16th.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is.
We're going to try and do first meeting, sorry, Mayor.
No, go ahead.
First meetings of the month in person.
Second one.
And make sure those are the action and public hearings. Second meeting of the month will be more work session type meeting.
And virtual.
In virtual.
And we'll
Thank
do
you.
those. We'll do those virtual until, you know,
Right.
I think once we get out of this pandemic, you know, we're going to be back
Right.
all the time. All right. Anything else, town manager? How about communications from town board? I know you gave a good update there on Michael. I appreciate that. Anything else from the town board?
And there are some chamber updates that I did not get the dates for, so I will forward those to y'all individually.
Yeah.
Some things coming up.
And we're going to try to get the chamber, you know, as this thing lifts more and more back, you know, reporting to the board at least once a quarter. I think that's going to help out there too. So, no other reports from the board. I would just a couple comments to close here. We got a lot going on. We just approved this development agreement and economic agreement with Cobblestone, which is a multi-use residential commercial development, which is kind of part of our Main Street plan. We're in final design of the Main Street project. As you know, that should go out to bid somewhere late this year, and construction will start in 2020. Not too soon. Sooner the better. And you know, a good thing was, as you know, I think it was our last meeting. If you recall, we were told that about 900 participated in the survey that was asking for some feedback on the Main Street project. And you know, with 900 people doing a survey, it really shows that we're doing the right thing, and you as a board are doing the right thing in this project and what we're doing for the town. So, I think that's really a great response to kind of what the board has been working on. Kind of tells me we're kind of working on the right thing. We still got the property that we're into 120 days due diligence in. That will not be anything that we would use in the near future. And I say near future, probably 3 years or less, but more of a, further than that, long-term, use. So that's coming up with the board, and we got good things there. A lot of things going on in the planning department with the land use, the LDO. Also, we got the comprehensive transportation plan. I hadn't heard much about that, Kelly. So I know that's in the works, and the board would be looking. Yeah, the board would be looking forward to seeing that in the next few weeks, because that's I think for us to build and build density properly, we got to have a good transportation plan. We got to be able to get around in the community. So I think that's good things the staff and the board is working on. So with that, I just want to say thank you for your hard work. Thank you for the staff for the hard work that they've been put in. I know there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that you guys are working on from y'all's liaison jobs with the different committees and groups, and it's just amazing probably what's going on here in town. I will last say that the census. We just went through the census year. it didn't go as planned because of the pandemic and stuff. The pandemic, I guess, put a damper on a lot of things, and this census was one of them. But it was done. I think it was I think our percentage of 80, 90%, 85% or something like that. So we'll get our new number soon on how many residents we have, and I think we're going to be talking in the near future about that 10,000 citizen, and that's going to be the time that we change probably a little bit from being recognized as a small town to a growing town a little bit. So I talked to Michael about, Michael, what do we do when we reach that 10,000 citizen? And I think it's going to be pretty soon. So we got a lot going on, and we got a lot that we're doing, and we got a lot to look forward to. And I think I'm optimistic that we made it through 2020. I'll say we made it through 2020. But I think really 2021 is going to be a breakout time when we get some of these things pulled together. So thank you for your hard work. And with that, if there's no closing comments, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. And I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you, board. Appreciate it. Good.
9:03. You did good.